Skye Squad, we are back in the building, okay? And we have got to talk about how Kenya Moore tried to warn Nene back in 2020 that she was being phased out, okay? So we're going to talk about it in just 1 second. I have to shout out my boy, Mr. Housewives. Check out his new podcast called The Comment Section. But listen, he brought some tea today that apparently a viewer actually put together some clips of Kenya Moore warning Nene Leakes that Bravo was phasing her out. Okay. So the caption reads that a fan made a compilation video of all the times Kenya Moore tried to tell Nene Leakes that Bravo was phasing her out. So Kenya was saying this way back in 2020. So if we go into the actual post, you can see a clip of Kenya Moore sitting down with Bryce Sander, okay? And this is on Entertainment Tonight. Now, because I can't really play this in the sense of like playing it and putting it on the screen, I'm just going to give you a little bit of audio of it so that you guys can get a better understanding of exactly what Kenya Moore was saying. So, listen.
Missed out on at least 4 to 5 episodes this season. So that clearly means that the network is sending you a message. You're not as important as you think you are. The message is very clear.
Ooh.
Either the network feels that you're still a valuable asset on the show, or they don't. And you're replaced or phased out, and you just have...
Okay, so that was from what, February 7th of 2020. Okay. And then yet in another instance, you have Nene Leakes responding to Kenya Moore at that point. This is February 16th, a mere days later, a week later, probably. And then Nene says, here's a question for Ken at Andy. I'm assuming this is when Kenya Moore was on Watch What Happens Live, because you will see that in just one. We'll play a little bit of that in just 1 second. But Nene tweeted and said, ask her why she is out doing press saying Bravo is phasing me out. Bravo hasn't told me or my team that. Why is she out saying I have lost money from not being in episodes? I negotiated my episodes and money up front. Question mark. I have not lost anything. Hashtag shady, hashtag hater. So in this tweet, based on what we know now, I'm just going to give you guys my best assessment. Based on what we now know, this tweet sounds or seems as though Nene is trying to maybe save face in this instance publicly by asking this question. I'm assuming it was done via Watch What Happens Live when Kenya was on there, based on the clip that we're going to look at next. But before we get there, Nene continued and says, I have not been cut out of any episodes. Now, this is in stark contrast to what she has stated later on via Twitter and on the Carlos King podcast. Now, she says, I negotiated my episodes just like everyone else did. I'm getting every dime I asked for. Thank you for asking and clearing that up, Andy. That means a lot to me. So, in 2020, okay, that was around the same time that we would later get, I'm assuming, season 13. Is that correct? I'm trying to figure out when that was, right? So, because we were still, no, was that was the end of season 12. This had to be the end of season 12. That's when this had to be during the end of season 12. I would reasonably assume this was near the end of season 12 before the reunion, because Kenya will be asked about the reunion in this next clip.
He tweeted in a question for you.
Oh, really? So she's a fan now?
Yes, she's a fan.
Oh, okay.
She wants to know why you're doing press saying Bravo's phasing her out. She said, it's not true.
Interesting.
It's great.
Oh, well, then I guess she would need to ask Bravo why they're cutting her out of many episodes this season.
Ooh.
I'm not the one behind the editing.
Ooh.
Figuring out the show.
Okay, but you're saying that she's being phased out.
Well, I think she is. That's not something that I can absolutely say.
Interesting.
You're being cut out of the episode. What do you clearly feel? The sign is you're not as
But I don't think she's being cut out. Nene tweeted in a
So then Andy was going on to say, well, I don't think she's being cut out. Again, this sounds to me, based on what we now know, that everybody was trying to put on, at least publicly, this idea or notion that everything was all good. And that makes sense. It tracks, because typically when you're negotiating contracts and things like that, you don't tend to try to make things public. Like, most people don't make their paychecks public. Most people don't make their contracts public. So what are you going to do? Although there was a video, if you go back in time, there was a screenshot of a contract that Nene had signed and said, I mean, basically, I think she had posted it on her Instagram. I distinctly remember this. There was a video that I actually did on this where it didn't show the details of the contract. I think it just showed her signing it. I think that's what I remember. Just go back into you would have to go dig down into the deep depths of my videos, but I mean, it's there. All right, so that was on Watch What Happens Live on February 16th of 2020. All right, so then the next thing that we have here, and so that you guys can actually see that's where you see Kenya Moore on Watch What Happens Live. And then the next thing you see is back to Bryce Sander and Kenya Moore from that same interview on February the 7th, where she also goes on to say,
show up to this reunion. I think she possibly will, because she's fighting to stay on the show. So she might bring a little bit more this time. Okay.
Interesting.
You know you need to come back because you weren't in the episode. You need those checks, girl. Do you think she will?
Okay, so what you heard there were two clips. One was Bryce Sander asking if Nene would show up to the reunion. And then the second clip that you heard there that's kind of attached to this is the reunion after Nene slammed her laptop shut. You hear Kenya Moore saying, you know you need these checks, girl. Okay? So there is clip after clip in this post of basically Kenya Moore at least putting it out there before Nene did that she was being phased out of the show. Okay, so the signs were there. The signs were there. Did Nene listen to those signs? What did she think at that time? Was it to save face? It makes sense to me. It would make sense if she was trying to save face, because I mean, I'm just saying that's just the reality of the situation, right? I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't you do the same? All right, so I know that was a lot to take in, but I did just want to go back into the archives and say, listen, there were signs. And I don't know if we really looked at those signs the way we may have needed to look at those signs, because this is where we are now. So again, shout out to Mr. Housewives. Be sure the link will be down in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and check out his new podcast, The Comment Section. Really, really good stuff. All right. So with that being said, we have got to get into our next story. And it, of course, involves Joseline, okay? Our favorite Puerto Rican princess, okay? But she is definitely black. She gonna let you know, okay? And I ain't mad at it, okay? So, according to our friends over at the Neighborhood Talk and TMZ, where the story initially comes from, Joseline has been booked on 2 new felony charges from the Big Lex brawl back in Vegas. Okay, at that Floyd Mayweather fight. Looks like Floyd Mayweather wasn't the only person fighting by the looks of these videos, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so she was slapped with 2 more felony charges from her backstage brawl. Okay, she had to go through the booking process again at a Florida jail again. Okay, so she was in court today, from what it looks like, for her arraignment when the judge dropped the bad news. Prosecutors are actually charging her with 2 felony counts of battery on a law enforcement officer. Okay. So based on the clips, if you guys remember those clips, I can't play them here because they are, I mean, there's a lot. So, the judge explained that she would need to be taken into custody again and booked on new felony charges. And there is video of this. I will place the link for TMZ down in the description down below, but you can also see it here on the Neighborhood Talk. But it sounds like she won't be spending much of her day in jail, according to TMZ. You guys may recall there was police body cam footage from Joseline's fight and her. It pretty much looked like a beatdown of Big Lex, whoever that is. And the video also shows her shoving the popo. All right. Now, y'all know she had initially been charged with felony charge of resisting officers with violence and a slew of misdemeanor charges. And she went through the booking process for those charges. But these charges are in addition to. So the 2 new felony charges being tacked on means that Joseline needs to be taken into custody and booked a second time, in part to prevent her legal team from finding some potential legal loopholes. All right. Joseline pleaded not guilty to all the charges against her, and she's due back in court next week. It's crazy how in the world can you deny these charges? I mean, there is video evidence of all of these actions taking place. We see her in the Big Lex beatdown. We see her in the altercation station with the police. Okay, we see it all go down. And in case you need to see more, there is more. Give me more. Okay, give me more. Here is basically, you can see the paperwork here from the original. Well, not the original, but some other stuff that was, that's attached to this. But so there you go. Lots of things happening in the news. So Joseline, you probably need to stop fighting. But the crazy thing about it is Joseline is on a show on Zeus where it seems as though, again, fighting is the norm. So when you are in that situation and you are rewarded for constantly being in altercations, then it almost seems to it stands to reason that becomes your norm, and you're used to potentially not having to face the consequences of those actions. Minus all of those altercations, what Joseline probably does not realize, and maybe she does, is that she is entertaining without all of the altercations. My hope is that one day she reaches Tammy Roman level of ascension in her mentality to realize that she can still get the bag without all the beatdowns. Okay, so y'all let me know in the chatterization what y'all think about all of this, and of course we will catch you in the next video. And listen, I got the plug and play. We got the plug and play. Let's do it.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I mean, I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't hear that from me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her off her dirty little secrets just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?